Hey, this is Jim from Jim Living the Retired Life on YouTube. I was given this list of questions from Corey at Real Retirees Uncut, and I'm going to go through these list of questions that he's provided and give my story about my retirement. And he'll post this obviously to his channel where you're watching this, and then I may post it to mine, but we'll see about that. I'm here to do Corey a favor and promote his channel. And this is the questions that he's given me, and I'm going to go through and try to answer the best I can. So first off, my name's Jim. I am 56 years old. I live in Illinois, Robinson, Illinois, and I retired at 55 years old in July of 2024. And so it's been just about, a little over a year since I've been retired. I worked for nearly 27 years at the oil refinery here in town, and started out as an operator, unit operator. I went to working the board in the control room, and then eventually I retired as a chief operator, which is basically kind of like a foreman over a shift of men. And so I did that. I did that the last 10 or so years of my career, where I was a full-time with that. But I was there about 27 years, and I just was an operator. And again, I worked my way up to where I was a chief. So working in an oil refinery, we work 12-hour shifts. The first portion of my career, I worked 8-hour shifts, but there in about 2004, we switched to 12-hour shifts. And it was days and nights, weekends, holidays. It didn't matter, if you were on the schedule, you were working. So, but that was the career I had. What drove my decision to retire was I found out I had enough money to retire, and was going to be able to have reasonable success in retirement. I was 55 years old, and with my years of service and my age combined, I qualified for my employer's employee health insurance, and so I'm able to stay on their insurance just as if I was working. So that was a big decision, because once I turned 55, I was able to stay on that. But I just got to the point where I was tired of working a lot of overtime, the shift work, the back and forth, the days and nights, the 12 hours. I'd work at least two weekends a month. And then all the holidays, if it was on your schedule, you worked it. So it got to the point in my career where I was just kind of getting tired of that. And once I found out I had enough money, I kind of just pulled the plug. I didn't necessarily hang around and wait much longer after I kind of got my ducks in a row after finding that information. My approach to saving and planning was just consistent. So from the time that I began until the time I retired, I just consistently put into the company 401k. I got the match, and most of the time throughout my career, I was putting in just enough to get the match. Now, toward the end of my career, I did increase that to where I was maybe putting in 10%. But I think for the most of my career, I was only putting in 7%, which was getting the match. Now, and then I chose, I think, 4 or 5 different mutual funds that I thought had a good track record over a 10-year period. And I just put into that and really never messed with it. I'm not saying I never changed, but over the course of 27 years, I didn't really dabble in it that much. I just let it go. And next thing you know, I have enough. Now, I did retire with a really good pension. I took a lump sum pension, and that's really helped me as well to be able to retire at 55. Was this company provided pension that I took. My retirement income sources. So I'm using my 401k. I retired under the rule of 55, so I'm using my 401k money essentially to get me to 59 and a half, and then I have investments that I have outside of my 401k that I will use after 59 and a half, but I really don't have anything outside of my IRAs and such. I don't have any rental income or anything like that. My saving to spending mentality, so that's changed in retirement. When you're working, your mentality is to save, and get aggressive. But and then you just was able to spend, I suppose, and do what you wanted because you always knew that this paycheck was coming. But in retirement, you kind of go more to a conservative mindset, perhaps, and maybe you think twice before you buy stuff, or at least that's my experience. But we have enough money and we have enough freedom in our budget to be able to do basically everything we want to do. We haven't really done without since I retired. But, this mentality does change from when you were working till when you retired. And that's something that I don't think anybody can really coach you on. It's just something that you find out once it happens. Social Security, at what age and why? Well, I'm quite a few years away from Social Security. If I was to have to make a decision today, I would say 65. That's what feels good. I know my family history. If I make it to 80, I will be doing much better than a lot of men in my family have in the last 100, 200 years, and so 65 seems right, but I don't know. I've got 9 years before that comes up. I've got a lot of time to think about that, obviously, depending on my nest egg and how it's doing and whatnot. But I do think taking it early is better, only because you never know when you're going to die. I will say that my wife is 6 years older than I am, and so the survivor benefit that I have is just it's there. But with her being 6 years older, perhaps she may die before I do, or she may pass soon after me. It's really hard to tell. But it just, to answer the question, 65, but I really don't have a good reason why. And it's not that I wouldn't change my mind tomorrow even. So what's a typical day like now? Well, I normally, I have basically kind of a set routine of a morning. I'm normally up and around by 5 o'clock. And I make coffee and I come down to my study, which I make my videos basically down here. I do teach Sunday school and different Bible classes. So I come down here for a couple of hours and kind of get my mind going for the day, but also I work on those lessons and get my mind prepared and my lessons ready for that. And that takes me till about 7 or so. And then about between 7 and 7:30, I have a 10-minute exercise routine that I do. It's nothing intense, but it is something that I do almost every day without fail. And I think the reason I'm able to do that is because it's such a short routine. And you might make fun of me or laugh at it being a 10-minute routine, but it has really been easy to keep that routine because it's so short. And I am seeing some benefits to doing that. And so sometime between 7 or 7:30, I do that. And then 7:30 or 8 o'clock, somewhere in there, I'll go upstairs. My wife wakes up at 7, and she's normally reading and preparing her lessons that she's got for her Bible class, or just getting her day started. That's typical. And then I'll eat breakfast, and then I'll get my day going. Obviously, if I've got something big planned or something, I obviously will do set my other plans aside. But for the most part, that's a typical routine. What do I enjoy most? Well, I just enjoy not having to go to work. My day is free typically to do what I want at my own pace. Obviously, there are things that'll come up that you have to get done. We do keep our grandkids a lot, and so we're babysitting or chasing them or going to pick them up or whatever. But the thing I enjoy most is just the freedom to basically do what I want and have my day free if I want to have it free. I do what I want when I want to do it at the pace I want to do it, and that is a great benefit of being retired. Major lifestyle changes. I really haven't changed much as far as lifestyle goes, other than perhaps this exercise routine, but I've really not changed anything from what I was doing when I was working. I'm just not going to work. New hobbies, interests, or skills. I really haven't done that. I did begin my YouTube channel in earnest after I retired, and so I guess you can say that that's a new hobby that I have. But other than that, I really haven't expanded much, just because my day is filled with the things I want to do, whether it's just tinkering in the garage or in the yard, whether it's going and helping my mom or my in-laws or babysitting the kids or whatever. There just seems to always be something to do to keep you busy. The biggest challenges or surprises. I don't know that I've really had any challenges or surprises. I guess the biggest surprise to me, I suppose, was how easy it was to just not be going to work anymore. I really thought I would struggle with this thought that I don't have anything to do. I don't have a purpose. So that's probably been the biggest surprise. But once the initial, 3 or 4 weeks passed that I'm retired, I just kind of settled into this routine, and I just kind of got to doing what I was doing. And I guess maybe just the fact that I'm not having to go to work was the biggest surprise. Do I wish I would have retired sooner or later? Well, there really wasn't a way for me to retire sooner and get in the retirement, the insurance benefit that I've got. So I do think that I don't think that I worked a day over what I should have worked. Once I knew I had enough money to retire, I was pretty much done. I learned in March or April that I had enough, and it just kind of took me to be convinced that I had enough and was able to retire. And I retired in July, so I really didn't draw this out too long. Anything differently to prepare? Probably not. I did retire with a mortgage. Now I have paid that off. Perhaps if I would have known 5 years ago that I was going to retire at 55, I would have worked more diligently to pay the mortgage off or down further. But I have no regret, and I don't know that I would have done anything different. I probably would have planned a little earlier, but I can't go back and redo that. glad never to deal with again. So I'm glad I don't have to go to work. Or I don't have to work holidays, weekends. I don't have to go out in the freezing cold or thunderstorms. I don't have to work holidays and nights. So just that's what I never have to deal with again is this shift work. It was fun while it lasted, but I'm glad it's over. How do I define retirement success? Well, I would say you have the money to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That would to me would be success. And everybody's different as far as that goes. So I can't say that you would be successful because everybody's situation is different. But I think for me, at least a year and a little over a year in, this has been a successful retirement. But 10 years from now, who knows where I'll be. And then advice 1 to 5 years from retirement. So my channel is set up to basically to encourage you to at least begin to plan. Go and talk to somebody, even if you're 30 or 35 years old, and start laying out this groundwork so that you can retire when you want to, when you, at whatever age, whether it's 45, whether it's 50, 55, whenever. But if you go and begin to make these plans plenty early, you'll be better on track and have more knowledge than what I had. I crammed in about probably 4 years worth of retirement planning into about 4 months worth of time. So I really wish maybe I would have started planning sooner. And that's what I do for my channel, is basically try to encourage you to begin retirement planning sooner rather than later. So hopefully you found these interesting. I don't know, but thanks for watching. And Corey will post this to his channel at some point, which you're watching. And I'm glad to be of assistance. I will say I have a phone number if you want to reach out to me, 618-608-0152. If you want to talk about retirement there or other topics, just include your name and where you live. And then also, if you don't mind, subscribing to my channel, Jim Living the Retired Life. And I appreciate that. And good luck, Corey. And thanks for watching his channel.